Well, hey, howdy, and hello, listener, and welcome back to another episode of Connor Reads Books. Today, we have a story read for you, but not just any story read. We are going to be sharing a chapter from the upcoming audiobook, The Men of the Mountain, written by Drew Harrison and performed by me, Connor McEverly. Today's episode serves two functions. One, to entertain you, and two, to act as a sort of teaser and canvas for any early reviewers. So Drew Harrison and I will be entering The Men of the Mountain into a pre-release sort of review period, and that'll be happening in the next couple weeks. Our goal is to have reviews there and posted by the time we officially launch the book, so people know that it's an excellent book to go and listen to. So we have a link to a Google form in the episode notes if you are interested. So go ahead, check out the episode notes, fill out that Google form, and see if you are eligible to be an early reviewer. I'm going to leave more details on this for the end of the show, so please stick around after the chapter, and I will discuss more on the early review period. Until then, enjoy this chapter from Drew Harrison's The Men of the Mountain. Chapter 5. Bargains.
And though we fled on fleet feet fast, until to home we'd flown, I swear by moon those hulking brutes had language all their own. They called their curses into night and danced afore their flames, and through their malformed muscled lips I heard them curse our names.
Paul Teller, from his song, Red Keepers of the Bonfire. I'm too deep asleep to notice the gentle weight as the cloth bands settle over me. They pull inexorably tighter until their pressure jolts me awake, but their grip is already too strong to lift my arms.
I am the spider,
the voice growls in the dark.
And your juicy organs are mine.
The girl squeals with delight as I finally fight my way to an upright position. Adria? What time is it? I say. Daylight slants its way through the blinds into our small shack.
Time to find yourself some new organs. I got you with my paralyzing venom, and then I feasted on your brains.
Adria pauses, her face suddenly concerned. She makes a small choking sound, then a second. The grin wipes from my face. I scramble from my bed, crawling closer to her, trying to assess what's wrong.
I...
She chokes, looking up at me with widening eyes.
I think I'm starving eating something so completely empty like your brain.
The groan of pain that escapes my lips sets her into another giggling fit. That's not funny, you know, I tell her.
Only because you don't know what funny is,
she says. We're both 12. It's probably about a month after Ursia Potter, our temporary guardian, had passed due to the pox that burned through Fort Hope. I remember those months as dark, hopeless days, split by droning, bleak nights. But Adria's smile and bubbling laughter was the light to part the darkness. It's a strange memory to find me now, but its relevance is obvious enough.
You'll need an administrator's toga,
Hecton had said a quarter bell earlier.
Report to Lorna Weaver's home. Tell her what you need and who sent you.
The rabbit swings from my pack-mounted hook as I walk. It takes mere minutes to find the place. As I draw near, the sun seems to retreat behind the haze of clouds overhead. The spider, more myth than person to Fort Hope. Reclusive, wrapped in mysteries, and living in an old, sagging shack near the southern wall of town, the spider made no effort to dispel her reputation. The children whispered about her fang-like teeth, the way that wisps of web drifted from her hair, the way that she had her manservant buy animals at market just so she could eat their still dripping hearts. As one such meat merchant at the market, I knew that the last part was not true, and as I'd grown these past few years, the whispering of the town children sounded more and more ridiculous to my adult ears. In its place, I heard the adults whisper about Lorna's condition, an infection of the skin, quite contagious, that keeps her in permanent isolation. As I reach her front yard, even her home seems dispiritingly uninviting. The wood stakes are sagging and decrepit. Heavy coatings of dust line the fence posts and tint the dark wood with a layer of frost-like brightness. Cobwebs cling to the corners, and greenery that composes her yard seems somewhere in the midst of transitioning to unclaimed woodlands. I approach the outermost wall, noting the brass bell I'd been told to expect. I grab its string and give it a solid shake, but the bell hanging from the ceiling merely clinks mutedly. With a sigh, I opt for a spirited knock instead. Its sound is sharp in the crisp morning air. A wooden shutter to my right opens a crack. Only blackness is visible behind it.
"What do you want, clanless?"
Strength to tribe, Ben Weaver. Hecton Civic sent me to commission the weaving of a civic's toga.
"What? Old Hecton tear out another inch-wide hole in his, bending over for the men of the burlap sacks?"
My face reddens, but I maintain my composure. No, Ben Weaver, the toga is for me.
My, I never took Hecton for the adopting type in his old age.
I still don't know how widely known Hecton's illness is, so I say nothing.
"And who, dear trapper, is to be my debtor?"
Hecton, for the toga, I answer, but the spider can hear my implication.
"And you, I take it, for something else?"
A chemise, a kirtle, and an overdress, warm enough for the snows ahead. Robin will need actual clothing, and the 2 small garments Adria left behind were never a permanent solution.
"Women's clothing,"
the spider says, clucking her tongue.
"A fine gift they'd make, and no steadier hand in all of Fort Hope to make it. I'd ask you for the measurements, but Helga Woodsman brings me my hearthwood. Good, strong bones she has from swinging an axe.
Venomous fangs she may not have, but the spider was ever the center of a web of gossip. Of course she knew that the town expected me to marry Helga. Correcting her would ignite a wave of whispers, and would certainly lead to unwanted questions. Helga's height was close enough to Robin's, and though Helga was stocky and muscled, surplus fabric could always be hemmed in. I brought a rabbit as a down payment, so to speak, I say, gesturing over my shoulder. What is the full price for the order? The shutter creaks open further. A length of gray cloth spills over the edge. Inside the dwelling, I can see a countertop covered by the same strip of cloth.
"Set him down on the counter. Let me get a closer look."
I place the rabbit on the counter, and the cloth is tugged from within the darkened shack. The rabbit swiftly vanishes into shadow, and then she issues a disappointed sigh.
"Barely enough meat here for the ants,"
she complains.
"This truly the best you have, trapper?"
Season's ending, I admit. I don't quite have the variety I usually do. Her tongue clicks with disapproval.
No, this will not do. I will keep this rabbit, to start the job. But no, Kate Clanless, I won't trade in carrion for the finest garments in the shadow of the Iugis. My price is 10 days of your time."
I blink, certain I've misheard her. I beg your pardon?
"My manservant, Wayne, lazy bastard that he is, has enlisted as an escort for a trade caravan. Headed to other Wren settlements out there in the woods, they say. Assuming they don't send the idiot back after the first night, I'll be in need of help while he's gone. That will be you. Still a while out, don't you worry."
I swallow, chewing at my lip. It's yet more responsibilities thrown on top of the pile, but I may not have a choice if I'm to afford the clothes for Robin. How long until he leaves? Leaving the spider's home, I note that a new banner is proudly flapping in the chill winds that howl over the agora's flat stone face. The banner is woven of fabric and impossibly vivid dyes that only the men of the mountain could manage. Its pictorial face shows a woman, wrapped in her proper Wren shawl, bent at the knee before the green-robed men of the mountain. Above her head, the Wren woman proudly holds a glimmering star, still twinkling as though plucked straight from the night sky. The green robe is spreading his arms graciously, as though in deep, sincere gratitude. It's a reminder to Fort Hope of the promised reward for information about the falling star. More directly, it's a reminder to me, and me alone, that Robin is a wanted woman. I have a fortnight before Warden Ignatius Costis is scheduled to return to Fort Hope to formally begin my apprenticeship. I waste none of my precious time before it begins. My days blur to the steady familiarity of a new routine. I hawk my dawn hunt wares at the Agora. I can't help but notice what Hecton said is true. My cart seems to empty much quicker than those of other food merchants. I meet their eyes. Their expressions are hard to read, complex mixtures of envy and esteem. Each day, I chew my lip just a little bit deeper until I finally set blooming the iron taste of blood. Once the sun marks the passing of noon, I often head out into the wilds, ostensibly to forage, but really to visit Robin. Our language lessons are slow going. She's an eager learner, but I find that I make a frustratingly poor teacher. It's clear that she expects a reciprocal learning, that I'm supposed to pick up words in her language as well. But something about her arcane language feels steps beyond my ability to comprehend. I can't even hear where individual words begin and end. They're not pointed and spaced like Rennick is. They twist and flow like a winding river collecting meltwater in spring. Her deeper wound is healing up reasonably well. I can see her mobility improving. I can also sense a rising antsiness in the star-touched woman. My childish pantomiming of the dangers outside the outpost can get the point across, but there's a wide gulf between her reality and the primitive picture I can convey, and that difference is something she'll surely soon want to explore herself. As evening arrives, I visit with Hecton Civics, keeping him company as he puffs at his stone pipe and philosophizes. His wisdom is genuinely insightful, but I feel as though I'm spread too thin to fully engage with our lessons. He's explaining the logistics behind the Green Robe's food deliveries to Fort Hope, but my eyes are glued to his tapestries of the histories hanging from his walls. All I can think of is what a valuable teaching aid those tapestries might be if I could bring them to Robin and point, saying, "This here is a Krieger warband. This is a Wren singing circle." When dusk arrives, I'm back out in the wintry hills with my bow, hunting once again. It's rare that I trap at both dawn and dusk in one day. Rabbits do truly love the softer border between light and dark, but the season is ending, and now I'm once again catching food for two, something I haven't needed to do in 5 years. When I finally make my way back to my dwelling in Fort Hope, my feet aching and limbs impossibly heavy, I all but topple face first into the mattress, sinking into a dreamless sleep. My life blurs to that ceaseless rhythm. A dawn hunt, the winds of the Agora under the watchful eye of the statue of Tom Civics. Today I've traded at market for small cloths of our histories. Planning to finally redecorate my dwelling, I tell the chanter. In the afternoon, I proudly unpack the small tapestries of Wren legends and myths, showing them to Robin. Barreau huntsman, I say, tapping the man's image. A hero to all Wren.
Wren,
Robin repeats. Tribe. I agree. In the evening, Hecton shares the calendars of when the men of the mountain have brought new Wren children for our settlement.
10 years ago, our numbers were climbing, but our population is now a tightly controlled thing,
He tells me.
One Wren dies, and 2 weeks later, a new child is brought to replace her. Never any more mouths to feed than our shipments and fields can support.
3 more days pass similarly. Then 6. A parcel is left on my stoop courtesy of Wayne Porter, the spider's man. Robin's clothing is completed. I no longer bother hunting for rabbits after yesterday's hunt yielded 1 capture and 4 hours of bitter cold. They'd fled the cold for warmer climes now, or retreated too deep into their warrens for me to find. The time had come for me to start trading on debt. The chirping of the birds is muffled by the soft, whispering snowfall as I again near Robin's outpost. As has become my ritual, I knock twice at the door before entering. "I have a gift," I say, setting the parcel down on the table. I pull at the strings, folding back the crinkling paper as Robin peers at the wrapped contents. She smiles as she lifts the garments. Being forced to wear Adria's undersized clothes probably meant Robin was rarely comfortable.
very good.
She says in stilted Rennick, bobbing her head.
Thank you.
3 loud crashes rattled the doorframe, seemingly halfway between knocking at the door and trying to bash the thing in. The light fixtures overhead sway from their force. Robin and I both freeze. "Hide," I whisper. It was a word I felt Robin needed to know, and so I taught it on our second day of Rennick lessons. Robin darts out of sight. I pause, trying to calculate what to do next.
Cade Clanless?
An angry voice practically seethes through the thick wood of the door.
Or should I say, Cade Faithless? Open this mountain-cursed door now or I'll chop the damn thing to fragments!
I swallow as recognition settles. With a heavy sigh, I move to unlatch the door. My life isn't actually in danger. Probably. Strength to tribe, Helga. The woodcutter's daughter shoves her way into the outpost with the fury of a mountain cat.
Where is she?
Helga snarls.
Where are you, whore?
Helga, it's not what you think.
Do you think me stupid, Cade? Do you think Oliver Rennie is stupid too?
I'm flabbergasted and entirely off guard. My pause is just long enough for Helga to continue barreling through her accusations.
Weeks now you've been buying supplies for two. Everyone at town whispers, you know. Gone twice as long in your hunting. Maybe others don't know your comings and goings as I do. Then you're buying little decorative cloths. For your home, you say. Well, guess what? I peered in your windows, Cade. Not a one of them hanging. Not a one! And then I hear from Lorna Weaver, dear old lady that Lorna, and she's eagerly awaiting the news of our engagement. And I'm dumbfounded, thinking Cade barely shares a word with me at market. Weaver says I would simply love the gift you got planned, but surely it can't be for me, since, again, you've barely breathed a word to me in the past month. But you're more than happy to let the town whisper, to assume.
It's not...
Do you have any idea what this could mean for me? You're a clanless.
The word is spat with no small amount of vitriol.
I'm a clan woodsman woman. If word gets out that you shamed me like this, mountains above the damage this would do. I'm the one who'd be marrying down. You can't do this to me. So I ask again, Cade, your mistress, where is she?
The half-opened parcel with the spider's dresses, the supplies, the rumbling hearth fire, it was all too much to shrug aside. And even if I could find the magic words to explain it all away, Helga would never leave the outpost without a thorough search. And even if she didn't find Robin, she'd never drop the issue. She'd come here sometime when I wasn't present. If I somehow moved Robin, she'd follow me through the forests as I did it. I could never again visit the star-touched woman without wondering if, somewhere deep in the trees, a woodsman stalked my trail. There was no path forward, except to confess. Robin, you can come out now. There's no movement, so I rephrase, focusing on words that I know she's learned well. Robin, it's okay. Come here. A wooden cabinet door groans as it swings open, and Robin climbs out, her knife still clutched tightly in a whitening fist. She rises to her feet and peers curiously at Helga, eyes lingering on the stocky woman's muscled build, assessing a threat. Upon seeing Robin, Helga's affront lasts for a few heartbeats, but then Helga sees what I saw, the lack of scars, the otherworldly cast to her features. Her wrath crumbles like snow slipping off a sloping roof. She falls to a knee, face swiftly reddening.
1,000 apologies, Mountain Mistress,
she stammers, face twisted by confusion.
I hadn't realized that Cade, you...
Understanding clicks in my mind. Helga has no doubt heard of my rapid ascension to the track for leadership. Now she thinks she's found the reason for it. Considering the fact that the woman she moments ago thought was my mistress, she now thinks is one of the green robes. It's a misconception I have no intention of correcting, seeing that it plays to my...
Robin home sky,
Robin says, pointing upwards. She steps in, gesturing for Helga to rise. And my luck has once again ricocheted from bad to good to bad again.
What?
Helga asks, baffled by the childish, clumsy phrasing.
Robin,
she says, pointing at her own chest.
Cade,
she says, pointing at mine. Then points at Helga expectantly. Helga is leaving, I say to Robin, placing a hand on Helga's back and shuttling her toward the door. My hand nearly reaches the latch, but Helga stomps in place, refusing to go any further.
Just what in the ghosts of the tribe is this, Cade? Helga,
Robin says, trying the word out. With a half-smile, she repeats it again.
Helga, Cade, Robin.
She's simple, I say with a tragic smile. Found her in the woods babbling to herself.
She's stressed by strangers. We can talk tonight. Robin, home, she says, again pointing up. She lives upstairs in the outpost, I say. Helga's flat stare is utterly and completely unconvinced. I can see the unmade bed in the corner. A second bed upstairs? I try. I swallow as Helga's eyes begin searching left and right, the pieces fitting together. The banner and the agora? The heralds of the men of the mountain? They were looking for... Cade, dicta forbid! Is she... star-touched? Robin home stars, Robin repeats, pointing ever upwards for emphasis. Helga goes white as a ghost. She sits herself heavily down in a chair at the kitchen's table. They'll exile you for this, she says, voice suddenly small, heavy with grief. They won't find out about this, I counter. Not if you don't tell them. They'll exile me too, then. Cade, how could you... Why would you... She trails off, unable to even finish her accusation. 5 years, Helga, and not a word from Adria. You knew her. You know that means something's wrong. The dicta forbid. It's not about the dicta. Look, Helga, I don't know how. I can barely explain it myself, but ever since I found Robin, I've got this unshakable feeling in my bones that she could be my key. They keep Adria and the rest of their women hidden in their enclave. Well, she's one of them. You know it as well as I do. Untouched by Renia as she is. She either knows their secrets, or she's how we learn them. You're mad, Helga says, rising to her feet. I need to go. I watch Helga make her way back toward the door. My eyes dart to Robin, the knife still held in her hand. I desperately search for a way to stop it from all falling apart. Helga will tell the Mountaineers, and then it will all be over. Unless... Helga, wait, I call, preparing to play my final card. She turns to face me, and her look is pure misery. Guilt, pity, and shock rolled all into one. As far as the circumstances go for this sort of thing, I doubt I could have chosen a moment any worse. Dictum the 23rd. No Wren husband shall be made to bear testimony against his wife, nor any wife against her husband. No, Cade, don't you dare, she begins, shaking her head vehemently. You were to marry down to a clanless, but I'm soon to have a legitimate station, a civics role, and an apprenticeship with the Greenrobes. No, you don't get to... Half the town thinks it's already a done deal. I saw Ted Baker's looks, and the spider at the middle of her web of gossip. Probably already has the marriage weave halfway spun. You know it, same as I do. And so, Helga Woodsman, will you marry me? Helga falls back into her chair so hard the seat back cracks, tumbling to the floor in clattering splinters. What?
Welcome back. I hope you enjoyed the episode. I had a ton of fun reading this book in general, but it was really exciting to get this episode out for y'all to listen to. So here we are at the end of the show, and I said I have some details for you on the early review period, so let me crack right into those. So Drew Harrison and I are looking for early reviewers for The Men of the Mountain. And what this is going to look like is there's going to be a pre-release period on Audible where we are able to send review codes to some listeners for reviews. Now, it is important that we find the right fit because this preview period will take about a month, and The Men of the Mountain audiobook is not short. It's about 18 hours of sci-fi, fantasy, epic adventure. And so we need voracious audiobook listeners who can turn an 18-hour story into mincemeat pretty quickly. So if you are interested, first, thank you for your interest. And second, go ahead and check out the episode notes. There is a Google form for you to fill out. It's going to ask you some questions, like, your name. It's going to ask for your email. But this is important. You will not be signed up for any newsletters. There will be a specific box to check if you want newsletters, but you do need to give us your email because that is how we get you the preview code. There will also be some questions on how much you listen to audiobooks because, as I stated earlier, it's important that we have someone who can devour an 18-hour audiobook within the span of a month. And I'm sure there are some of you who are like, that's easy. And if you're feeling that way, please check out the Google form. And if not, don't be discouraged. You can still fill out the Google form. Anyway, thank you so much for your interest, and thank you so much for listening to this chapter. Drew and I are super excited to get the full book out there, so thank you again to everyone who has interest, and go ahead and check out those episode notes. That's all I have for you today, so now it's time to roll the credits.
This has been Connor Reads Books. I hope you enjoyed the episode. If you have, please share and leave a review. Feel free to check out my social medias at @LConnorVoice. Links in the episode notes.
A big thank you to Louis Sanders, the producer of the Connor Reads Books theme song.
Until next we turn the page, toodaloo.